A center of excellence, a nurturing space for innovation, creativity, and academic freedom. This is the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. As a constituent university of the University of the Philippines system, UPLB is a leading national higher education and research institution in various niche areas. Grounding itself on the needs of national development, UPLB cultivates well-rounded and critical leaders who are ready to lead breakthroughs and innovations. Through its industrial and academic partnerships, UPLB propagates its gains to advance inclusive development in various sectors. Educational institution that upholds honor, excellence, and public service. A center of excellence, a nurturing space for innovation, creativity, and academic freedom. This is the University of the Philippines, Los Baños.
A center of knowledge, innovation, history, culture, and biodiversity. This is the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. UPLB found its home at the foot of the legendary Mount Makiling in Los Baños, Laguna, a short distance from Laguna de Bay, the country's largest lake. It has its beginnings in 1909 as the UP College of Agriculture, a tent school for a handful of students. A year after, the Forest School, or what was to become the College of Forestry, also set up its home in Los Baños. In 1972, the UP College of Agriculture and the College of Forestry, that had by then become renowned institutions, were granted full autonomy as the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Instruction, research, and extension in agriculture and forestry in the country took root and flourished in UPLB. Through its strength in these two fields, UPLB established niches in various areas: biotechnology, engineering, veterinary medicine, natural resources conservation, environmental science and management, human ecology, food science, economics and management, public affairs, and development communication. It drew its strength in the arts and other fields of science from harnessing its expertise and human resource in the biological, physical, and social sciences. Today, UPLB degree programs continue to dominate over its counterparts. Over the years, UPLB has developed graduate programs that continue to attract students far and wide, including collaborative programs with international universities in food security, biodiversity conservation, and development. To make graduate programs more accessible to professionals, UPLB offers them off-campus. Recently, UPLB established the UP Professional School for Agriculture and the Environment in Mindanao, the country's food basket, in order to help build the knowledge capital that the country needs to attain food security. Instruction in UPLB is enhanced by a strong and vigorous engagement in research and public service that enables it to produce knowledge and generate technologies and innovations that promote sustainable living, making it a strong force in the war against hunger and poverty in the country. Extension and public service are the mechanisms by which UPLB brings this knowledge and technologies to the people, as well as for it to know what they need and to help shape policies in the country. UPLB's reputation as a graduate and research university was formed through the continuous aspiration for excellence and the mutual reinforcement between instruction, research, and public service and extension. It brings in partnerships with local and international universities and provides mobility to faculty members, researchers and scientists, and students, and enhances their competitiveness. Instruction, research, and extension and public service in UPLB reflect the dynamism, honor, and excellence that its forebears set as a standard for its leaders to aspire for.
The world is in a constant state of change now more than ever. It's a world that requires resilience, flexibility, and innovation to overcome challenges and to pursue growth. That is why the University of the Philippines Los Baños is pursuing future-proofing initiatives to provide agile leadership and develop local and global communities amidst shocks and disruptions in an ever-changing world. Guided by compassion, an openness to working together, and the daring to seek out breakthroughs, UPLB constantly pushes for academic excellence, produces relevant research, establishes academic and industry partnerships, and cultivates creativity, critical thinking, and innovation. To keep up with the fast-changing world and to strive for inclusivity in development, UPLB seeks to level the playing field and expand avenues for acquiring new knowledge. It is reshaping the learning experience, enabling students and educators to continue with the learning process in vastly different learning conditions. It is expanding its academic programs and supporting initiatives to create a conducive learning environment. To address the growing complexities of modern problems, UPLB continues to break barriers across disciplines to produce cutting-edge innovations and solutions that serve the needs of various communities. It is taking on challenges in food security and sustainability and coordinating research efforts to direct the university's resources toward critical research areas, making sure that the university-generated knowledge can reach its intended stakeholders and be applied to real-life contexts. UPLB is dedicated to its commitment to contribute to public good and social welfare as it continues to work with the local government and the community to address their most pressing needs. Amidst its engagements, UPLB remains as one of the top regional and global universities and continues to be recognized in the country and across the world. As the national university, UPLB aims to be a steadfast partner in development, as a producer of new approaches that minimize the cost and impacts of future shocks, and by honing leaders committed to knowledge creation, innovation and cutting-edge research, and public service. This is UPLB's roadmap to be an impactful institution in a constantly changing landscape. Responsive, innovative, future-proof.
The University of the Philippines Human Ecology Student Society is an academic organization at the College of Human Ecology since 1992. Its approach is fueled by the passion of BS Human Ecology and BS Nutrition students who intend to contribute their knowledge on their respective fields with the larger society. On this day, the organization celebrates its 28th anniversary of giving service to the environment and community through ideals and academic excellence.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's STE Talks, Exploring Social Enterprises in Rural Development, Success Stories, Challenges, and Advocacy Platforms. We're currently engaged via Zoom, but we're also joined by colleagues and friends via FB Live through the ISEA, DSDS, and Present Coalition Facebook pages. You may visit these pages after the session and support by liking and sharing specific content to your networks. If some of our colleagues and your friends and contacts cannot enter our Zoom session right now anymore, they can join us simultaneously in FB live streaming. I am Emmy Mendoza. I'm one of your hosts for this afternoon, and together with me is...
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gomer, Gomer Padong from the Institute for Social Entrepreneurship in Asia. I will be co-hosting with Ma'am Emmy this afternoon.
Okay, so before we further go to our program, let us thank our organizing partners. So for our main partners for this afternoon's STE Talks, we have the Department of Social Development Services, College of Human Ecology, UP Los Baños, the Institute of Social Entrepreneurship in Asia, the Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship or Present Coalition.
Special mention also to our supporting partners, the UP Human Ecology Student Society, UP Oikos. I think both organizations are based in the College of Human Ecology. We'd also like to thank the UPLB Office of Student Affairs and the UPLB Business Affairs Office.
Thank you for that, Gomer. So the STE Talks was launched by the Department of Social Development Services under the College of Human Ecology, UP Los Baños, out of the need to continue conversations tackling serious and complex socio-ecological realities even during the pandemic. With social technology being instrumental in bringing forth the discussion about social entrepreneurship, it seeks to translate these conversations into collective action.
For this afternoon, our learning session shall feature two successful social enterprises. Another input is also on the advocacy on the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship, and how participants may be able to support as well as engage in the policy and advocacy efforts. There will also be an input on the role of youth in rural revitalization. As we all know, The agriculture sector is the backbone of the Philippine economy. Due to rapid urbanization, our local farmers have been painstakingly marginalized, throughout the years. Active participation of the youth and students, therefore, is integral for us to finally shift our perspective towards the direction of sustained positive growth and inclusive prosperity.
Okay, so we hope for a fruitful engagement this afternoon. Initially, we intended the learning session only for students from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, but with the growing collaborations and a call for wider audience, we opened it to accommodate interest expressed by other sectors. So with us this afternoon are our friends and colleagues from the academe, the non-government organization sector. We have our friends from our different social enterprises, the business sector, the local government sector, local government unit sector. We have friends and colleagues from the medical sector, agriculture and commodity, and other professional organizations. So, Gomer?
Yes, to start our learning session this afternoon, I'd like to invite Dr. Dino Jejes, the Department Chair of DSDS of the College of Human Ecology in UPLB. Dr. Dino?
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Gomer and Ma'am Emmy. I hope you can hear me well. Isang mapagpalang hapon po sa ating lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all well this afternoon. On behalf of the Department of Social Development Services here in the College of Human Ecology, together with our co-organizer, the Institute for Social Entrepreneurship in Asia, I would like to welcome you all to this meaningful, relevant, and timely webinar entitled Exploring Social Enterprises in Rural Development and looking into unpacking and sharing success stories, challenges, and the advocacy platforms. No, so while in UPLB the semester is about to end, so I think this is timely and also good to end our week with this webinar about social enterprises, catering and engaging the youth sector in promoting social entrepreneurship. We would like to acknowledge, of course, our student partners, student organizations, our colleagues and students in the College of Human Ecology, and of course, all our partners in the field of development, social development in particular. We're very excited in rallying and promoting the concept of social entrepreneurship and providing platforms for our students for them to embrace and explore, think about incubating social enterprises. So we are excited to be here. I hope we are all excited to be here to share success stories from practitioners in the field of social entrepreneurship. And we're looking forward to more collaborations with ISEA and their respective partners, together with our students and colleagues. At the end of the day, I think the college envisions to have social enterprises as one of our key drivers in promoting human ecological security, resilient human ecosystem, and social enterprises that embrace the human ecological and social development perspective. So with that, I hope we could have a meaningful session this afternoon. So maraming salamat po sa pagdalo. I know for our students, this is also a critical period. It's about, our semester is about to end, but thank you for coming, and we hope to be you will be engaged in our discussion later on. Thank you po at magandang hapon sa lahat.
Thank you, Dr. Dino. At this point, may we ask participants to open their cameras for a group photo. Ayan, let's just wait for others to open their cameras. We have 3 pages actually. So Bads from our from our communications team can start taking photos. Maybe you
Okay.
can give cues, Bads. Thanks.
Yes. Let's go. First page. Smile. 1, 2, 3.
Hold that smile, guys.
Next slide. 1, 2, 3. We will go to the next slide.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Great.
Thanks. I'm happy to see that we are joined by colleagues from Myanmar and from India. We also have friends from the Mindanao State University. Yes. Over to you, Ma'am Emmy.
Okay, thank you, Sir Gomer. Okay, so for this afternoon, we have three distinguished speakers with us who will share with us their insights and their experiences. So let me introduce you without further ado our first speaker. Our first speaker is the CEO of Bote Central, a family-owned social enterprise advocating empowerment for the coffee-producing communities through technology, education, and inclusive opportunities. Bote Central is owner and manufacturer of local brands, namely Coffee Alamid, Basilio Coffee to Share, 18 Days Coffee Roaster, and Instant Coffees. She's also the president of the Philippine Coffee Alliance, a network organization of smallholder coffee farmers and small entrepreneurs from Luzon down to Mindanao, advocating community-based coffee agribusiness for the farmers, women, and youth, and promulgating the soil cup business model of coffee. So without further ado, to talk to us on exploring social enterprises in rural development via community-based coffee enterprises, let's all welcome the founder and CEO of Bote Central, Ms. Vi Reyes. Ms. Vi, the screen is yours, ma'am.
Good afternoon to everyone. I hope I am able to impart some learning with you today. I will be sharing my screen now. Is it okay?
Very okay, Ma'am Vi.
Okay. So, exploring social enterprises in rural development is, for us, is via community-based coffee enterprises. There are three proponents in this business model. One is Bote Central. Bote Central as the family enterprise, social enterprise. And CBVOR as the R&D technology arm and support of Bote Central. Philippine Coffee Alliance as the network organization of farmer entrepreneurs in the Philippines. So we buy coffee from farmers. We engage them as we are the buyers, Bote Central as the buyer initially, and the farmers as the suppliers. We sell coffee B2B, B2C, local, and export. We initiate our first product was Coffee Alamid, and this was way back 2004. Next in line was the 18 Days Coffee Roaster. It is a roast on site, roast on demand coffee kiosk at South Supermarket. There is now another 18 Days Coffee Roaster somewhere in Soledad, New Valley, and another one in Tagaytay. But the two, the Soledad and the Tagaytay, are owned by a friend of mine. Basilio Coffee is a product which we believe we wanted to mainstream in the supermarkets and outlets nationwide. So it is a coffee that is displayed in supermarkets. Our latest offering is Instant. It is brewed coffee but made instant. We'd like to target the lower end of the economic base. Another revenue product for us is the selling of roasting machines and the post-harvest and processing equipment. And this is usually done, all of these equipment are done by CB4, but Bote Central is the channel we use for government procurement. We use PhilJEP's accreditation, by the way. So you can see that there's the huller, the pulper, for both used for wet process and natural dry process for coffee. We have the moisture meter, all of this, the solar dryer, the packaging. We use all of this equipment as initial roasting facility package for startup communities. This is also the same equipment that we use for Bote Central. So we don't recommend any equipment that we do not use. The roasting machine, by the way, is an invention done by my husband. It has a patent invention award way back 2012. So we offer complete package facility, or it can be on a per unit basis or per machine basis, depending on the needs of the community. As you can see, the strength of our business model is innovation and creation. So in 2006, this was how the roasting machine looked like. There was a Japanese buyer who said that the machine looks very ugly. Well, it's true. It looked ugly at the time, but you know, it did the work. 2012, we did some innovations again. We changed the looks, but it still works the same, all the process. 2017, again, we innovated, but we found out that the 2012 model was the best model so far. It was the most user-friendly, woman-friendly, and it was very easy to use for non-roast masters. The design and technology we use is normally for non-roast masters, which means that we would like the farmers, the women, and the youth in the communities without having to pass through the intricacies of learning how to roast, be able to go into the roasting business in the same way that Bote Central does. Banas Cafe. Gowad Sibayan, the man to your right, was the first farmer roaster, and he had the number 001 roasting machine. Gowad and Basil, my husband, were very good friends, and they were the ones who coined the word coffee communities, which means that we had that vision way back in 2006, right when we started the regular coffee business, 2 years after we did the civet coffee, the Alamid. We told ourselves that we should also go into regular coffee because the farmers were asking us, why are you only buying civet coffee? And we thought that, yeah, why not? And we learned that the coffee value chain is skewed to the right. I mean, towards the downstream of the coffee value chain, that the benefits would go most to the roasters and the coffee shop owners. So we innovated the value chain wherein roasting would be done by the farmers themselves. So 001 and Banas Cafe, which started way back 2008, is still operational. As you can see, they were also offering already Arabica, Robusta, Liberica. They were offering services for roasting, for packing. They were doing everything right there in Sagada, right here in Sagada. By the way, I am here in Sagada. All right, okay. Cafe Kabuyao is another community. Way back 2010, when then DA Secretary Proceso Alcala learned about the pilot business models or the pilot coffee roasting facilities that we put up, he witnessed for himself that it was a working model for the farmers. That is why in 2012, there was the first procurement from government through competitive bidding for 10 facilities, but we were only able to establish 6 at that time for some technical constraints. Cafe Kabuyao was one of the first original, or the first 6, which started 2012 until now. They are still operational. Their strength is a good support from their LGU, women leadership, and a very good support from the Women Strong organization. Another original of the first 6 is Sultan Kudarat Coffee Ventures, down south of Philippines, in Mindanao. They are at Sultan Kudarat in Region 12. And Sultan Kudarat is also the biggest Robusta supplier in the Philippines. They mostly supply the Robustas to a multinational in the Philippines. Multinational coffee in the Philippines. But now, they now have a blended coffee product, which consists of green coffee beans, which they still supply to the multinational. But probably, I think, if my updates are correct, more than 50% of their produce are already roasted. Their production, in fact, is even bigger than Bote Central. I think they now have 5 tons per month. Bote Central has only about 1 to 2 tons per month. This is in Lagawe, Cafe Ifugao. This is managed by Bishop Valentin Dimok. It is a one-woman team. If you can see Clara, she is there. She is the roaster. She packs. She is also the overall. She manages actually, or she operates all of these machines that you see in the picture. This is a pulverizer, the latest additional equipment we have for a facility. They have now 3 facilities without any government intervention. They were able to put up more additional facility equipment for their own use, and they are already leveling up. Again, since 2012, they are also part of the original 6. They are still operational. Kape Maramag is also a woman-led and woman-strong organization. Maramag is in Bukidnon. They are also part of the original first 6. They now have changed their leadership, but they still supply Robusta. Actually, they're also blended products is 50-50, if I'm not mistaken. 50% green beans and 50% roasted coffee products. Bukidnon or Maramag is one of our biggest supplier for Robusta, for Bote Central. Sunshine is the social entrepreneur for Kalinga Mountain Roasters. Sunshine is she resigned from her work at the DTI, and she bravely challenged herself to continue the legacy of the coffee farming of her Lola. The picture on her label is her Lola. She said that she wants to continue coffee farming and she wants to be the entrepreneur this time. She egged me sometime in 2017. She was asking me for me to sell her the roasting machine. At that time, I told her, because it was also already an expensive machine, but no, ma'am, she told me, I will make out a loan. And she did make out a loan with DOST. And until now, she's still doing good. She now has her second machine. This is the Plian Farms, husband and wife, George and Jessica. For their first year, when they decided to put up their roasting facility, they approached us and said, we'd like, since Gowad Sibayan, the first farmer roaster of Banas Cafe, passed away after winning the competition in France. It was his dream to, Gowad's dream was to have Filipino coffee recognized for international awards, and he was able to do it. In 2017, he won an award in France for roasting on site, which means that a farmer, the competition was mainly for farmers to roast their own coffee. And Gowad won. And when he won, 2 months after, he passed away. And there was a glut in Sagada, who is the next Gowad. And George Deplian, being a friend of Gowad, approached us and asked us, can I be the next Gowad? I said, why not? So they tried. So they opened their facility in 2019. But after opening their facility, COVID came in. Lo and behold, they were able to surpass COVID. They are now the quality roaster in Sagada. They did it. In fact, they won 5th place as Best Arabica in the Philippine Coffee Quality Competition in 2020. Maming Farm is owned by Derry Exconde. Derry Exconde is another passionate coffee farmer, entrepreneur. He does not have a coffee roasting machine, but he said, I want my own label. So he put up his own brand. He is also the president of San Pablo Coffee Growers Association. He said that even if I don't have a roasting machine, I would push coffee in San Pablo or in the contiguous areas around Laguna in San Pablo. So he put up the association and he formed his own enterprise. He has 7 lakes and he's very aggressive. And for this year, 2022, because of his aggressiveness and his passion, he now has his own roasting machine. Another coffee roaster farmer. So in Instant, why in Instant? This is about a central product. We have thought about this product since 2012. We coined this product because when everyone else is looking at quality or specialty, why not look at the other way around? So we said, we will compete with instant coffee, no matter how hard it is. We want a product, a Filipino product that we can be proud of, that is natural, that is healthy, that is relatively cheap. I would not say, I don't like to say the word cheap, but it's really inexpensive. A little less expensive than the leading instant coffee in the Philippines, but it tastes a lot better. Again, it is technology. How do you pulverize coffee? How do you make it pinulbos na kape or powdered coffee so that when you pour it, 1 to 2 teaspoons full for a cup and you put hot water, you dissolve it immediately. But of course, since it's natural, it's not instant, not necessarily instant, it's not soluble. There is still latak, or we call it coffee sludge, very, very minimal coffee sludge. In fact, the elders would normally drink it because it tastes like cacao and it is also healthy. So this product came out only during COVID because we thought that why should we still buy instant coffee when we can make our own in instant? So there you go. It's again another innovation for you, for the market. These are just some of the community branded coffees that have come up. We all support them. We all help each other. We go for traceability and integrity because nowadays, especially online, there are a lot of sellers online. and you don't know which one or who is telling or who has integrity, because a lot of imported coffees right now are coming into the Philippines unmonitored by the government, and unscrupulous businessmen sell imported coffee but label them as local, brand them as local, sell them as local. So we have to fight, we have to be, it is a buyer's risk right now, especially selling online or buying online. So we provide traceability and integrity. We advocate for the two. We also advocate origins and community roasted. What does that mean? You don't have to go far for your coffee to be roasted by multinationals. Because in 2010 or in 2012, when we started this coffee business, there were only about 10 roasters in the Philippines. So that they were controlling the market. So we said that we should share this processing. That is why there is this invention of the air roasting machine, because we wanted communities or coffee communities and farmers to roast their coffee, their own coffees. But we also go for excellence and resiliency. It doesn't necessarily mean that all of these community branded coffees are inferior. In fact, if you are to try some of them, they are even better than the supermarket coffee that you buy. Not all of them have good labels, if you will notice. That is where we also need support for branding and labeling, especially or the dressing up of coffee. So since for 2021, we now have around 62 community-based coffee enterprises. They may not realize that they are social enterprise because they haven't probably been trained properly for social entrepreneurship. So there are some that are private, which means that they are privately owned or privately purchased. And most of them are farmer cooperatives or organizations, and they are procured by the government. There are, as of last count, we have counted that there are 9 new, but this year I think we have just recently delivered 5 to 7 coffee roasting facilities for different farmer organizations. Some in Davao del Sur. For next week, another one would be for Mangkayan, Balili in Benguet. So ways moving forward, as Philippine Coffee Alliance, the advocacy organization for Filipino coffee, we want to protect and promote the interests of the Philippine coffee industry and empower the smallholder Filipino coffee farmers. So we are now focused on 3 main activities as the Alliance. One is we'd like to continue policy with promote and push policy with government that is farmer friendly, will protect the local consumers and the small entrepreneurs. And for trade and consolidation, we'd like to use green coffee beans to be accepted as a form of currency and security. And since there are a lot of community-based coffee enterprises sprouting all over the country, we'd like some financial management training and basic bookkeeping so that we can monitor and evaluate and learn some more from each other. So as students, there are a lot of students approaching us. Like this one for FEU, the engineering department is now working with Samahang Magkakape ng Lipa through Mr. Arnold Malbato. They build a coffee dryer for Liberica primarily and a dehuller for Liberica, since Liberica is a a green coffee bean or a coffee variety that is not globally used by roasters and has no standard yet in the global coffee market. So we'd like to ask the help and support of the youth so that you will be able to support more the community cafes. I urge you, instead of going to the multinational chain coffee shops, to support and drink coffee from the community cafes. And probably you can support or offer help in bookkeeping. And if you want to put up your own business, you can put up small coffee shops or likewise. And if you want to go into the roasting business, please buy traceable green coffee beans from farmers whom are known to have the authentic Filipino coffee. There's this line there that you see, instant coffee. Most if not all of the instant coffee that we have here in the Philippines use green coffee beans sourced from outside the Philippines, and that is a fact. So this is the chain of happiness. We built this model. This is our business model way back 2007. It is from soil to cup. When everyone else wants to go for quality of the coffee or quality of the tree or quality of the cup, we prefer to give more importance to the quality of life of the farmer. The quality of life of the farmer precedes the quality of coffee tree. That is our position. And there you go. Please support Filipino coffee because it is worth the drink. It is worth the cup. Maraming salamat po. I hope I was able to impart something. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vi. There is actually a question from Mr. Goy Candelario here. Do you help facilitate or facilitate for a group to acquire a coffee roaster machine and a ballpark figure on how much the machines are?
Yes, we do help. We not even for these machines. If ever you have any concerns or you want entry level information for coffee, yes, we do. Like a roasting machine, a 2-kilo roasting machine would cost around 576,000 pesos. But the whole package is worth, I think, 1 million. Approach me. I will help you. Not financially, though.
Okay. Thanks, Ms. Vi. I would encourage participants to actually post questions on the chat box so that our what do you call this, speakers can also engage you via chat. Another question, Ms. Vi, is what challenges did your enterprise encounter in reaching or working with farmers from different coffee communities?
The challenge was for them to believe us, because why will they always would ask us, why would you want to sell us the machine, or why do you want to help us? We have to explain to them in a way that, because if we want to buy coffee as a businessman or as Bote Central, we want to buy coffee, where do we source good coffee? You know, in 2006, when we started to scout around for the regular coffee, we didn't see any coffee at all. There was no coffee supply to speak of. Arabica coffee at the time in Benguet, 2006, was around 40 pesos to 60 pesos per kilo. You know how much farm gate prices now for Arabica in Benguet? It's 350 and more. It can even reach up to 600. So the first thing we did was to buy coffee. We cannot buy coffee if there's no coffee. But if farmers don't earn anything from planting coffee or from growing
I think we're having connectivity issues, Sir Gomer.
Yes, I think because Vi is in Sagada now, and I think it's currently windy during her presentation. Um, Maybe let's just wait for a few more minutes for her to come back. Again, friends, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to ask your indulgence to actually put your questions, comments, and other if you want to be connected with our speakers, please key in your email addresses or websites on the chat, and we would be glad to connect you with them. I see that Michael from one of our partners in the community connectivity networks from Myanmar is asking for the website of Vi for the roasting machine. We will connect you, Mike, don't worry. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, maybe we can introduce the second speaker. The second speaker is Alistair Roy, or Aloy Chua, the CEO and co-founder of Roots Collective Philippines. He has been involved in the social entrepreneurship and nonprofit scenes, working as a facilitator and trainer and volunteering for the Benita and Catalino Yap Foundation, before joining Happy Lifestyle in 2015, where the initial seeds for what would have become the Roots Collective were sown. He served as the first COO of Roots Collective until 2016 and returned in November 2019 to manage the Uptown BGC pop-up store before becoming CEO in February 2020. I hope Aloy is already here. Aloy? Okay. Maybe while waiting for Aloy, we can proceed with our third speaker, Ma'am Emmy.
Okay. So we'll go with Miss Lisa, who has been with us since the start of our time together this afternoon. Okay. Okay, so she's supposed to be our last but not the least, no? But since I think Sir Aloy is still parking, is joining us in a short while, let's go to our other speaker. And we're really, really blessed to have her this afternoon, considering her very busy schedule. So our speaker is the founding president of the Institute for Social Entrepreneurship in Asia, or ISEA, and is a pioneer in social entrepreneurship education and research in the region. She is a coach and mentor of social entrepreneurs and social enterprise resource institutions. And she was awarded as Outstanding Social Innovation Thought Leader of the year 2019 by the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurships and the World Economic Forum. She has more than 25 years of experience in development management and consulting, social entrepreneurship, and international development cooperation. So as I've said, we're so blessed to have her this afternoon to speak to us on platforms for engaging the youth in social entrepreneurship for poverty reduction and rural revitalization. Please welcome, friends and colleagues, Dr. Marie-Lisa Dacanay, President of ISEA. Ms. Lisa, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. And I'm really pleased to be here. And I was requested to discuss platforms for engaging the youth in social entrepreneurship for poverty reduction and rural revitalization. So I will actually be doing this. Next slide, please. by sharing with you perspectives on poverty, COVID-19, and the Philippine development paradox, and then go on to introduce to you two platforms for engaging the youth in social entrepreneurship, for poverty reduction and rural revitalization, namely the Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Platform and the Rural Revitalization Youth and Social Entrepreneurship Platform. Next slide, please. Let me now go to some stark realities in terms of poverty in the Philippines. No? Poverty in the Philippines has increased, given COVID-19 especially. 4 million more Filipinos are now living in poverty. If you see the screen, in 2018, 21.1% of Filipinos, or 22.26 million Filipinos, were living below the poverty line. And now in 2021, it has increased to 26.16 million, which represents 23.7% of all Filipinos. No? In the 10 provinces with the highest poverty incidence have even worse poverty incidences. No? The worst poverty incidence is in Sulu, where poverty is as high as 71.9%. And of course, one of the 10 poorest provinces is also Camarines Sur, which has a poverty incidence of 34.6%. So rural areas have a much higher incidence of poverty. No? 1/3 of the poor are actually farmers. And the Philippines is the most exposed nation to natural disasters, which actually contributes to our high poverty rate. So COVID-19 has had a very heavy toll on food security and rural livelihoods. No? In a study conducted by the World Bank in August 2020, they found that 70% of communities in formal agriculture were actually badly affected, and 61% in small-scale farming communities were badly affected in terms of food security and rural livelihoods. In May 2020, 4.2 million families, or representing 21 million people, struggled with involuntary hunger, which is double the figure in 2019. Next slide, please. The situation has not been also good for social enterprises with COVID. Of course, like all other enterprises, social enterprises were affected. And what you see here on the slide is that 96% of all social enterprises that we surveyed were actually severely to they were social enterprises were experienced either some downturn or a major downturn. No? So major downturn was 55%, but some downturn was 41%, which means that 96% of social enterprises experienced either a major to some downturn given COVID-19. In terms of sales and revenues, you would see on the slide that 93% of social enterprises experience a decline in revenues, with 31%, almost 1/3, experiencing 100% decline, and 60% experiencing 50 to less than 100% decline. So it hasn't been a rosy picture. Next slide, please. But actually, at the same time, the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated the importance of food security, resilience, and sustainable livelihoods. No, we all know that we actually faced the difficulty of being dependent on global markets for food. No, and we saw that that many of our communities, even our rural and urban communities alike, were very much dependent on global markets, so that we saw that we were very vulnerable and we had an over-dependence on these global markets. We also noted the importance of healthy, nutritious food and diets, and for the health and well-being of all. The need for shorter food miles and local food systems in order for us to have food security, which actually depends on building the resilience and sustainability of farmers and fishers. And we also realize the importance of sustainable livelihoods among farmers and fishers to assure food security and resilience and the health and well-being not only of farming and fishing communities, but also of urban communities who depend on farmers and fishers for food. Next slide, please. So even before the pandemic, we already experienced what we call a Philippine development paradox. What does this mean? a paradox is something that is unbelievable but true. No, so there has been, even before the COVID-19 pandemic, pervasive poverty despite economic growth in the Philippines, and a widening gap between the rich and the poor, despite the GDP growth. And amidst this, we saw the growth and development of social enterprises with the poor as primary stakeholders in response to the stark reality of poverty and inequality. So, next slide. What do we mean by social enterprises with the poor as primary stakeholders? These are social mission-driven organizations because they explicitly pursue poverty reduction and alleviation as primary objective. They are wealth-creating organizations because, like businesses, they're engaged in the provision of goods and services. But unlike ordinary businesses, they have a distributive enterprise philosophy, meaning to say they generate positive economic and social value that is distributed to or benefit the poor as primary stakeholders. Of course, Vi Reyes, who actually is the CEO of Bote Central, has explained to you some of the community-based social enterprises that are examples of social enterprises with the poor as primary stakeholders. Of course, Aloy will be later discussing to you another model of social enterprises that serve the poor as primary stakeholders. Next slide, please. Way back in 2015, way back when we actually looked at a survey. We did a survey of social enterprises with the poor as primary stakeholders way back in 2007. We came up with a number of 30,000. By 2017, another survey of social enterprises showed that there were already 164,000 plus. This has been a jump, no? Despite no systematic government support. No? And the asset size has been micro, small, medium, and large. No? So it's a fallacy actually to think that social enterprises are only micro enterprises. Social enterprises can be micro, they can be small, they can be medium, they can be large. And in terms of legal forms, some of them are cooperatives, others are associations, foundations, and non-stock corporations, and others are also stock corporations, single proprietorships, and partnerships. You would see that in the examples of Vi, there were some cooperatives, for example, single proprietorships, and corporations as well. Next slide, please. So in 2015, we actually did a study on the key external challenges faced by social enterprises with the poor as primary stakeholders. And we noted that, of course, one of the key challenges is climate change. No? So everyone was experiencing extreme weather disturbances, especially for those who are actually in farming and fishing. Extreme weather disturbances disturb operations of social enterprises. Of course, there were also government policies affecting social enterprises that were maybe many inappropriate as well as inaccessible government programs, corruption in government regulatory bodies. And then in terms of the market, there was a changing market environment and trade liberalization, which was actually not conducive to social enterprises that actually give attention to social impact. No? As Vi was trying to explain to you, they give premium to farmers' quality of life first. No? The market is not very supportive to that kind of ethos, and social enterprises are trying their best to be that, but the liberal market environment is actually not that conducive for such. We also found that there's an inadequacy of programs supporting social enterprise development, and also industry and market practices negatively affecting social enterprises. Just to give you an idea about this industry and market practices, for example, supermarkets, and many of them actually only pay social enterprise suppliers what goes through the cash register. So remember when we have floods like Ondoy, no? Social enterprises that were supplying supermarkets with organic rice, for example, had to suffer the consequences because they had to suffer the brunt of the losses. The supermarkets do not share in the losses due to the floods. No? So the cooperatives and social enterprises that were supplying supermarkets were not paid because of the destruction that was wrought about by Typhoon Ondoy. Anyway, all these external challenges faced by social enterprises validate the importance of platforms for working as a sector to address these challenges. No? So it's not just a matter of every social enterprise just doing his or her thing, or being brave, no, and solving their problems by themselves, because many of the problems are actually systemic in nature, and we need to address them by working as a sector and addressing these challenges together. And that's the reason for the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship as a platform, which actually was set up in 2012. And the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship bill, which we call the present bill, is an embodiment of the enabling policy that the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship coalition came up with to support the development of social enterprises that engage the poor as primary stakeholders. Next slide, please. So in terms of the features of the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship bill, the bill provides a social enterprise definition, which is a social mission-driven, wealth-creating organization, however organized and established to improve societal well-being, as well as to achieve ecological sustainability. But in the provisions of the bill, social enterprises with the poor as primary stakeholders were shown, or were actually recognized as equivalent to social enterprises. No? So the bill that is filed in Congress at the moment, that has been filed since 2012, recognizes social enterprises with the poor as primary stakeholders as the major form of social enterprise to be supported by government. And the bill recognizes multiple forms of social enterprises, from non-stock, non-profit organizations like NGOs, people's organizations, foundations and associations, cooperatives, sole proprietorships, partnerships, and stock corporations. No, so the bill also provides for social enterprises organized as stock corporations, partnerships, and sole proprietorships to actually be recognized as social enterprises, but for them to be recognized as such, they need to invest at least 60% of their revenues, net revenues, to sustain the fulfillment of their social mission. They need to provide services for the well-being of marginalized sectors that they serve, which are called transformational services, or they are services that assist the capacity building and the transformation of the lives of the poor, just to improve their quality of life, no? Just like Vi was talking about them providing capacity building so that the coffee farmers are provided actually a better position in the value chain, no? As roasters rather than just producers of green coffee beans. They should also not be a branch, subsidiary, or division of a private business enterprise. The reason why these are important is so that stock corporations, partnerships, and sole proprietorships that are not really social enterprises will not be recognized as social enterprises. So these are actually safeguards that are embodied in the bill. Let me now go to the National Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Program. Next slide, please. So the other key features of the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship bill. Of course, I've already said that the bill recognizes social enterprises with the poor as or marginalized as primary stakeholders. Some of the bills filed in the past Congresses talk about the poor as primary stakeholders. Others talk about the marginalized as primary stakeholders. No? And the bill also provides qualification of social enterprises in various forms, as well as the qualification of social enterprise resource institutions that can avail of government support. The bill also features a social enterprise development council, actually to govern the sector, but this will be composed of 20 agencies with 9 representatives from the social enterprise sector. And the key agencies that are seen as critical are the Department of Trade and Industry, the Department of Agriculture, DSWD, and NAPSI, but all other agencies will actually be playing other roles as well. The bill also features a national poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship program. And this is a very important feature of the bill because it talks about strategic economic subsectors as units of planning. What does this mean? Next slide, please. The National Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Program uses subsectors as units of planning. And the social enterprises are actually engaged as partners of the poor in strategic economic subsectors. No? What are strategic economic subsectors? They are actually economic subsectors that are identifiable by key raw material source or key finished product. No? So you can have coconut coir subsector, Muscovado sugar subsector, organic rice subsector, coffee subsector, cacao subsector. Now, so all these are economic subsectors. But strategic economic subsectors are those that have the potentials for growth and are where large numbers of the poor are players or could become players. No? And of course, the coffee subsector is one of the most strategic economic subsectors in the Philippines. And the desired impact of the National Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Program is that social enterprises are enabled to overcome subsector constraints in their development and growth so that poverty reduction can actually be done on a grand scale. Vi was already talking about the coffee subsector. Let me just give you some other insights on another subsector, which is the cocoa coir subsector. Next slide, please. So in the cocoa coir subsector, there's actually 1.2 million coconut farmers and 1 million fishers in the Philippines, 50% of whom are living below the poverty line. No? The coconut farmers produce 3 million, are producing coconut in 3 million hectares. And there's about 10 billion coconut husks that are being wasted actually. And this can create 1 billion tons of fiber, 2 billion tons of cocoa peat, which is the dust, and the worth, the value of this cocoa peat and fiber is actually 10 to 15 billion pesos per year. No? In 2010, when this study was made, and all this can provide employment for 3 million farmers and fishers. And in a subsector study that we did when I was still working with the Department of Agrarian Reform in 2002. We saw that agrarian reform beneficiaries who had a sustained involvement in what we call the geotextile nets manufacturing, no? Or the coconut husk subsector. You see this in the pictures. You could see that the coconut coir is actually made into geotextile nets for erosion control. No? If coconut farmers and fishers are actually engaged in this activity in a sustained manner, they have the potential to increase their annual incomes above the poverty line, which is 3 to 5 times their current incomes. No? So this is another example of a strategic economic subsector aside from coffee, which has already been shared with you. There are other strategic economic subsectors like, for example, rice, right? Because many farmers actually and farming families depend on it. Let me now go to the other features of the Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Bill. In terms of support programs for social enterprises, the bill makes provisions for what is called hybrid financing. No? What does this mean? Because social enterprises provide services to the poor that provide them capacity building and assistance so that they can be transformed they can actually transform their lives and they are able to build their capability to be actors in their own development. No, this cannot be financed through loans. So we're actually proposing that a social enterprise development fund where grants can be given to social enterprises so that they can provide transformational services to the poor as their primary stakeholders. But coupled with this should be non-collateralized loans through special credit windows with a guarantee fund pool from government, because many SMEs actually are not able to avail of loans, mainly because many banks and financing institutions ask for collateralized loans. Yeah. So what we are actually asking government is for them to provide non-collateralized loans through special credit windows with a guarantee fund pool. And this is the combination of financing that we call hybrid financing. The bill also provides features of a comprehensive insurance system for social enterprises and their stakeholders, research and development in strategic economic subsectors and innovations. Vi was also actually talking about the importance of innovations and R&D in social enterprises. And also the bill talks about or makes provisions for market developments. For example, we are negotiating with DTI that they actually host trade fairs, no, for social enterprises, no, that actually promote fair trade and ethical markets. And then there's also the provision for making sure that local government units are enabled to actually support social enterprise development. And this is very important now because of the Bandanas ruling, where many of the resources that used to be held by national government shall be devolved to local government units. Of course, we are in an academic setting at the moment, and the integration of social entrepreneurship content in the educational system at all levels, no, is a very important part of the bill, where we are hoping that social entrepreneurship can become one of the usual or one of the career paths that students can take in universities, and students can learn about in all stages of the learning process, from elementary, high school, college, and even graduate school. There's also a provision for a social enterprise recovery and rehabilitation program and fund. And this is actually something that's very important because, as I was explaining to you, we are faced by disasters all the time. We are the most disaster-stricken country in the world. And so we have just gone through COVID-19, and there are many disasters that will be before us. So we need a social enterprise recovery and rehabilitation program and fund as a special feature also for social enterprises. Next slide, please. Other features of the bill include a special allocation or preferential treatment in government procurement, meaning to say that government should procure it as much as possible, procure its services from social enterprises, especially, for example, those that social enterprises can provide. Can you imagine the impact, for example, on community-based coffee enterprises if all local government units made a special allocation to make sure that they actually buy only local coffee, no, from community-based coffee enterprises, no, that will have a very big impact, no, on the poor that social enterprises actually support, as well as the social enterprises themselves. There's also provisions for tax credits and cash incentives for the tax credits, because social enterprises are actually doing redistributing incomes, are assisting the empowerment of the poor. Yeah, that government should recognize them and give them tax credits for it. Cash incentives would be including such things as 25% of the minimum wage for persons with disability employed by social enterprises. So if a social enterprise employs a person with disability, then government should pay the social enterprise 25% of the minimum wage, so that all persons with disability can actually receive the usual wage and not just get 75% of the minimum wage. Of course, we're advocating for living wages, but maybe that would be something that we would be advocating in a later process with government. Next slide, please. So the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship bill embodies an enabling policy environment that promotes social entrepreneurship as a strategy for poverty reduction on a grand scale. As I said, it's not just a few poor that are hoped to be impacted, but millions of poor, in strategic economic subsectors all over the country. And also, it's a strategy for building back fairer post-COVID-19. And maybe because we have an audience of among youth and students here and other stakeholders, there are many ways that you can support the present bill campaign. You can sign and gather signatories to our online petition. You can enlist your organization as a signatory to the support for the bill. You can write your congressional representative to sponsor the bill, because of course we have been at the lobby for the bill since 2012. But now that we have a new Congress, there's an opportunity for us to start early. So if you also would like to help in writing your congressional representatives to sponsor the bill, and then you can also organize fora on the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship bill. And of course, if you want to be a comprehensive supporter of poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship, you can enlist as a member of the Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Coalition. Next slide, please. And just to show you that the Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Coalition is composed of many organizations, and you have met some of them, like social enterprises like Bote Central and Roots Collective are actually part. Social enterprise networks like the Philippine Coffee Alliance are part of it. Social enterprise resource institutions like ISEA, PRRM, Oxfam, and Academe, no? Ateneo, LaSalle are actually in the coalition. These are just some of the members, and we would like to invite those of you who are wanting to become members to let us know. The Secretariat of the Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Coalition is actually in the audience. So if you're interested, just list your email or give us a line in the chat box. Next slide, please. Okay, so an important aspect of poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship is engaging the youth in social entrepreneurship for rural revitalization. Maybe it's just good for us to take stock, no? That poverty is actually much worse and in a sense rooted in rural poverty. Why? It's actually the underdevelopment and the lack of opportunities in the countryside that people actually migrate to the cities and end up in slums, no? Or even go overseas. So this is one of the reasons why rural revitalization is actually a very important direction for social entrepreneurship. There's also the problem of aging farmers and fishers and the exodus of the younger generation in the rural areas from farming and fishing to actually go to the cities and overseas. And we see that many, for example, many parents, many farmers and fishers who are parents would tell their children, study and graduate from college so that you can get out of farming or you will not become a fisher like me. That doesn't augur well for our food security. And we are wanting to encourage farming and fishing to be professions that are actually recognized for their contribution, especially to food security and agricultural development. And of course, many of the strategic economic subsectors where the poor are concentrated and could be major players are agriculture and fishery based. No? So amid the bias towards urbanization, rural development needs to be reconsidered as a critical pillar in nation building and sustainable development. And we're offering the revitalization of rural economies through social entrepreneurship with the youth as critical stakeholders as a major platform. No? And so let me now go to my second to the last slide, or second to the third slide. Rural revitalization, youth and social entrepreneurship is actually a platform that we introduced, no, in 2020 amid the COVID crisis as a platform for inclusive recovery and building back fairer. And it seeks to actively engage university students, young professionals, and rural youth as key stakeholders in promoting social entrepreneurship as a pathway towards rural revitalization. Next slide, please. There are actually the co-conveners of this platform are actually the Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement. I think some of the officers and interns of the Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement are here, and maybe we can actually engage them during the open forum. This is also co-convened by Rural Reconstruction Nepal and Sources for Action China. And together, the plans that have been laid out for the Rural Revitalization Youth and Social Entrepreneurship Platform is, first of all, a learning exchange and advocacy on youth as key stakeholders in pursuing social entrepreneurship as a major pathway towards rural revitalization. Second is to do youth internship programs, so engage students and youth at the local and regional level in youth internship programs. When I say local, it's the country level, so the Philippine students and youth can actually have a youth internship program in the Philippines, while we also have a youth internship program that's regional in nature, so between countries, right? And then we are planning to set up a social innovation fund to support youth-led social enterprise initiatives towards inclusive recovery and building back fairer. We will also be doing case research and country-level study as well as documentation of experiences to support learning exchange and advocacy, as well as the campaign for the Rural Revitalization Youth and Social Entrepreneurship Platform. And lastly, we would be engaging partnerships with civil society, academe, government, and the private sector to create an enabling ecosystem and environment for the youth to be engaged in social enterprises for rural revitalization. As I said, as a key pillar in achieving sustainable development. And maybe during the open forum, maybe the moderators can actually ask the Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement representatives to share with us the plans about roundtable discussions that will be happening in June and a platform launch in July 2022. May I now just do my concluding slide? We are engaged and we are investing in youth as social entrepreneurs and stakeholders in social entrepreneurship for poverty reduction and rural revitalization. And our interest is to build a successor generation of social entrepreneurs to ensure intergenerational sustainability. I call it intergenerational sustainability because in the coming generations, social entrepreneurship for poverty reduction, rural revitalization, and sustainable developments needs to continue as an aspiration and as a goal. And of course, it is when when intergenerational sustainability for this movement for social entrepreneurship for poverty reduction, rural revitalization, and sustainable development that we can achieve a sustainable future where no one is left behind. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you for that, Miss Lisa. My brain is on full gear. Thank you for, it's a full-packed talk filled with information, ideas for reflection, for eventual discussions, and creating rooms for social engagement, no? And continuing partnership to advocate for social entrepreneurship in our fight against poverty. So it is in this light that I'm turning you over to Gomer. Yes, Sir Gomer.
Yes, Ma'am Emmy. We now go back to now our third speaker, Mr. Alistair Roy or Aloy Chua, the CEO and co-founder of Roots Collective Philippines. He will share with us collective action partnering with grassroots enterprises. Aloy, I have introduced you earlier to the group, so
Thank you so much.
I'm giving you the floor now. Over to you, Aloy. Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry for being late because my meeting earlier went later than expected and the traffic was bad coming here. So, yeah, I hope this will be very informal. This will be this will be an informal chit chat about what we're doing and how we are contributing to our work here at the Present Coalition. So, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, Aloy, you just need to put it on full screen, on full mode.
Ayan. All right.
Okay.
So I won't be able to see comments henceforth until I end my presentation. So yeah, if there are any questions, please reserve them now for later. No? Or if it's something urgent, please feel free to interrupt me, Sir Gomer. Okay, so as was mentioned, my name's Aloy. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of the Roots Collective. We are a marketplace and community bridging social and creative entrepreneurs with socially conscious consumers. I'm actually transmitting from our store here at Uptown Bonifacio. Yeah, so we really from the very start, we have been all about being a community for growth of social enterprises and MSMEs. And we do it via three ways: community development or ComDev, capacity building, and market access. Of course, this pandemic, it's the market access that has taken center hold. The ComDev and capacity building had to take a bit of a backseat, which I'll talk about later. Yeah, so so the community development is done by our CBOL program that bridges social enterprises and other communities together. Our capacity building used to be a hard product, but it's now currently part of it has become our aspirations to become a cooperative of social enterprises. Part of it also, not mentioned here, is our conducting some community activities for our enterprise community. Okay, yeah. So here are some photos of how we do it. So yeah, for the community development, yun, we work with communities where social enterprise partners mentor and invest in communities to co-develop products. No, these are photos of one of our enterprise partners, communities in Calawan, Laguna, with outgoing VP Lenny Robredo having visited them. No? For capacity building, we have also invested in the past in inter-enterprise collaboration. You can see Chaalaya and Proudly creating cocktails and mocktails, no, for the art fair. And at that time, our in-house Roots Cafe, since then closed, which is a partnership with Pote Central, Prodi Promdi, Chaalaya, and Hirai Chocolates. And then down below, you can see the market access. We are also, yeah, so among others, we are here in Uptown Bonifacio. We also have a store. Well, we supply the Ateneo Art Gallery's gift shop. No? Yeah. So, what are we trying to do here at Roots talaga? So, we want to address the minuscule market share of products of social enterprises and related. At the same time, we think that we have found that there is the lack of an all-encompassing ecosystem to support and grow social enterprises across the entire value chain, all the way from ideation to market leadership, because that's what we really want. That's our end goal. We want social enterprises to be mainstream, to become market leaders in their respective industries, no? And that's in line with UN SDGs 8, 9, and 12. No? Okay, so let me just briefly share about how we began. No? The Roots Collective is actually an offshoot, so to speak, of another social enterprise called Happy Footwear and Lifestyle, who works with urban poor weavers in Payatas, no, to create eco-friendly shoes and bags and other lifestyle alternatives. So, I was asked to create a retail wall, no, of social enterprise and MSME products. Because at that time, I was working with Habi. No? So that was one of my first projects. And then, as the founders kept coming in to deliver stocks and stay with us and hang out, we realized that there's really a need for a dedicated hub for entrepreneurs. No? Because it's a really big challenge, especially with what Doc Lisa mentioned earlier. No? So imagine the challenges we had then pre-pandemic, what more this pandemic. So all the more we need a community talaga. So we needed a dedicated physical, social, and even mental space for each other. So we were able to move into a larger unit on the ground floor of a building called FBR Arcade along Katipunan across the Ateneo campus. No? And yeah, it was really a hub. No? It was like an entrepreneur's business hub, no? Where we offered a co-working, we offered storage space, virtual office, and of course, a retail display for them. No? And we'd also have regular community events to help with capacity building. No? And then we also used the opportunity to explore different ways to serve as what we call an omni-channel distribution of these enterprises products. So we have our retail sales, we have our corporate sales, we tried a cafe and even a zero waste corner. No? And really, a lot of this would not have been possible without the help of our other partners, no, in the Roots community and even our NGO partner, the Peace and Equity Foundation, or PEF. Yeah, so this is how it looks like. Yeah, the store looked like that. This was a mock-up of the zero waste corner, the refill corner, and this is how it actually looked like. Yun. So in 2018, we had the opportunity to work with the Peace and Equity Foundation, where they gave us a grant, no, to put up a fellowship program to further capacitate young social entrepreneurs, no, and prime ourselves for regional expansion. So the culminating event of that was bringing the social enterprises to the commercial market, And we had the Roots Commune, a week-long fair and bazaar at Uptown Bonifacio, where we had more than 900,000 worth of sales that time. This was in October 2019. And we will also launched our current CBO program, the current program invested in social enterprises. No? And so we had selling, we had workshops, yeah, media coverage. It was so successful that Uptown offered us an inline store, no, where we could also have a small cafe and a small space for more activities. No? And of course, a lot more space to display and feature more enterprises. So this was a follow through of the Roots Commune. We averaged around 1 million in sales over the past 4 months. And we were able to feature more than 2,000 products from over 70 different enterprises. Um, this was, of course, interrupted by the pandemic, but we moved online. We were selling 3 days into lockdown, in March 2020. Then when we realized it wasn't going to go anywhere else, we decided to put up a dedicated online store, and that's been our anchor ever since. No? So you guys can explore this at rootscollective.ph. We are actually overhauling the navigation to make it a more fun and seamless experience for people to come and check out our products, no? And also read about the enterprises. No? So we also do corporate sales, which is very advantageous for the social enterprises because our specialty is in creating curated gift boxes, no, featuring different social enterprise products. We've had the fortune to work with big clients such as PTI Foundation, Bayanihan Musikahan, Coins.ph, ESIC PhilDev, and even Globe Business, no, last year, where we were their gift local partner. So, and for that, only social enterprises were accepted. So not everyone in our catalog was onboarded for that campaign. No? Only the social enterprises could be accepted. Yun. So this is a not so updated chart of where we can be found and how we can help and how we are helping social enterprises. No? Yeah, so we no longer have our store in Katipunan. We came back to Uptown Bonifacio just last year for Christmas, December. No? And with God's grace, we hope we can keep on going. No? Yeah, so we're also focusing on our digital presence. We have a web store, we have a Shopee channel, and as testament to what we've been doing, other third-party partners have been getting us to work with them. No? So we're back at the Ateneo Art Gallery, where we supply their gift shop. We are working also with La Bella Tagaytay and Marriott Hotel, no, to supply their gift shops. And then, of course, we're working with BPI Foundation and Bayan Academy, where we are a supplier at their Sinag Sari Sari store in Trinoma and Ayala Museum. No? So, ever since talaga, the Roots Collective has really been working with grassroots social enterprises. No? We're happy to report that as of this time, we work with around 30 different social enterprises, from all the way north from Ilocos Norte down all the way down south to Davao. No? Yeah, so we work with coffee social enterprises. We work with chocolate social enterprises. We have peanut butter. We have those who create plant leather. We have those who create handwoven baskets and bags and whatnot made out of different materials like pandan, water lilies, buri. Yes, and in working with all the social enterprises, we really get to learn each of their stories, and we feature them. No, we feature those stories in both our channels and our third-party channels. And really, that's really the spirit of Roots. We've always been a community. We've always been really wanting to help these social enterprises grow. We've had our ups and downs. Definitely, it is not easy being essentially a retailer for these enterprises, but especially for the smaller ones who look up to us as their first channel, no? Who look up to us as sort of their quote unquote nagpapa-legitimate sa kanila, no? as their collective bargaining voice in terms of talking to these big partners, no? Uh, just waking up to that knowledge really is what helps keeps me going, no? When it gets tough. Uh, so yeah, so you can find us online, you can find us offline, and yeah, we really actively engage with the social enterprises here. A couple of their committees have already even visited the booths before, no, so that they can see how their products make it to the big market. So yun, that's basically it, no. I have, if you want to ask anything else about what we do, yeah, I'll be free to take your questions. Yeah, thank you, Sir Gomer.
Thank you, Aloy. And thank you for making it to this session this afternoon amidst the busy schedule, no, of being a social entrepreneur. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving towards the open forum part of the session. But maybe before, as we transition to that part of the session, may I call on Chelsea, the Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Coalition Coordinator, to ask everyone to sign the present bill petition on the link. Chelsea, over to you.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. We've heard from our speakers today the value of social enterprises, not just in economic development, but also in poverty reduction and empowering marginalized communities. So I'd like to take this opportunity to invite all of you, to those watching in our live streams as well, to kindly sign this change.org petition that we will be sharing in the chat, to support the passage of the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship present bill, which, as discussed by Dr. Lisa, recognizes and supports social enterprises as transformational partners of poor towards poverty reduction, inclusive recovery, and building back there.
Thank you, Chelsea. I would now call on Marlon Palomo of PRRM as well, to invite us to the various activities of the Rural Revitalization Youth and Social Entrepreneurship platform, as well as the launch of the platform. Marlon, are you there?
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Over to you. Thank you.
Yes. Before you present questions to Lisa and Aloy, allow me to have a small space. And I am Marlon Palomo, Executive Director of the Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement, a social enterprise resource institution, and one among the co-conveners of the platform on rural revitalization, youth, and social entrepreneurship. I think this was already introduced by Lisa during the last part of her presentation. I would no longer belabor on those, but would like to invite you all, especially the youth, the interns that are here, the former leaders of the PRRYA, and all of the participants attending to this webinar series, to the second roundtable discussion of the platform to discuss the key discussion papers of the platform before the launch that would take place on July 19. So it's presented in our screen, no? And this is entitled Reimagining Rural Development in the 21st Century, Perspectives on Rural Revitalization, Youth, and Social Entrepreneurship. So this is a launch, and this will coincide with the 70th anniversary celebration of the Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement. As I said earlier, one of the co-conveners of this particular platform. Please register your interest to the ISEA Secretariat, and I hope that the ISEA Secretariat would provide the necessary invitation link to the second roundtable discussion and to this launch of the platform. Thank you for the time provided, Gomer. Maraming salamat.
Salamat, Sir Marlon. And at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we would now ask participants to ask questions to our panelists, to Ms. Vi, Ms. Lisa, and Aloy. Aloy, there is a question actually from one of our participants, from Ms. Alice. What generated more sales in your operations so far, offline or online? Why? Why and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alice, for that question. No? It's actually very interesting that you should ask that now because it was something we were analyzing just the other day. At the start of the pandemic, definitely we had zero physical presence, and online kept us going. However, especially this year, as the alert levels kept on staying low, we experienced, not just us, but other partners of ours. We experienced massive plummets in online sales. Now it's offline stores. Because for all the hype and talk about e-commerce growth and it being the next big thing, we notice that here in the Philippines, people are still quite traditional. They still want to physically come and check out products. They are not as ready, I would say, as people from other highly e-commerce developed countries like the US or maybe even Singapore, to just buy stuff online. They still want to check it out physically, especially if it's something new to them, which is what these social enterprise products are. A lot of them are new. They're quite novel in the market. So that's one thing we're trying to fix now. We're trying to really invest in regaining traction online. It's an uphill battle, definitely. It's an uphill challenge, but it's what I feel is a necessary challenge because we want to stand on 2 feet. We don't want to be overly dependent on one or the other only. Thank you. I'm okay, Sir Gomer.
Great. Thanks, Aloy. Any more questions from our participants? You can actually... Yes, Ma'am Emmy.
Yeah, there's an earlier chat in the chat box. I think this one is for Miss Vi. Yeah, how to, from Harold of LGU Sablayan, paano po maka-access the services and assistance in yung pong organization?
Hello, hi. So, if you're referring to the Philippine Coffee Alliance, or whether it's Philippine Coffee Alliance or Bote Central, you can email me. I think I put it there in the chat box already, my email address. alvira.reyes@gmail.com. We would help you in any way possible.
Thank you for that, Miss Vi.
Let us know your concern.
Are there any more questions in the chat box that I might be missing, Sir Gomer?
I think we covered the chat box, so maybe we can invite participants to just open your microphones and ask your questions and engage our resource persons. Kung meron kayong kung gusto nyo maliwanagan sa kanilang mga presentations or meron kayong questions sa kanila.
Seems like
maraming salamat sa mga pumipirma sa ating online petition.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We have a question coming in here in the Zoom chat.
Yeah, Mark, would you want to come in para hindi ko basahin? Ikaw na lang magtanong. Mark Jamer.
Hello, good afternoon to our speakers. My question is, what advice can you give to the youth pursuing social entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Sige, pwedeng umikot yan na question from Ma'am Vi, Ma'am Lisa, then kay Aloy. Siguro mauna kay Ma'am Vi.
Sige. Ako, well, the usual advice that I give is, it is not that easy to be a social entrepreneur. So the first thing that you must consider is, are you committed? Kasi maraming nag-uumpisa, pero once they find out that it's not that easy, that the road that you take being a social entrepreneur is mas maraming challenge, you don't immediately get the rewards, the returns. So you need the commitment, the passion, as always, and it's a long way. It's a long way being a social entrepreneur. Kaya dapat, ako lagi kong sinasabi na, yung feeling mo na nasa bangin ka, nakikita mo yung bangin, are you willing to jump? Just jump. That's social entrepreneurship. Yan.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Vi. Ma'am Lisa?
Miss Lisa.
Yeah, well, I think depends on what stage you're in, no? Kasi if you're still at the ideation phase, there are actually some programs that help, for you to actually put your ideas into a more concrete form, no? To become a social entrepreneur. But if you're already an aspiring social entrepreneur, that wants to set up a social enterprise, but you really just don't know what to do yet, you can become an intern, no, in a social enterprise, I think, in order for you to learn. Kasi I think the fastest way to learn is to actually get to know how a social enterprise operates, because of course the learnings in the classroom become important when you've had a little experience. Yeah. So when you actually are already at the stage of development and growth, tingin ko makakatulong yung mga maraming different training and capacity building programs that we offer and other social enterprise resource institutions offer, no? And I think it's good for you to join a network of social entrepreneurs. So for example, Aloy's group Aloy's group Roots Collective actually wants to connect with young social entrepreneurs. And of course, yung platform, yung Social Entrepreneurship Youth and Rural Revitalization Platform, that's actually intended to encourage social entrepreneurship among the youth. So get connected to that platform through ISEA or through PRRM. No? So kung gusto nyo naman sa kape, of course, kay Vi, no? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that, Miss Lisa. Si Aloy, sir?
Ako naman, I would say, know yourself first. Yeah, know yourself. Know what you want. Know what you're good in. Know your strengths. Know your weaknesses. Know your circumstances even, no? And yeah, assess that first. Plan ahead. Yeah, as Auntie Vi said. O, Auntie na, can you commit? Can you commit to it, diba? And at the same time, it will really take a toll on you. It will take a mental toll. So just don't overanalyze things either. Take it one step at a time. Take it as it goes. Then it is a challenge, but it is also an experience and a ride. I would say enjoy the ride along the way. No? Don't do it just to get your destination, because especially in social entrepreneurship, you cannot use your means to justify your end, especially in social entrepreneurship. No? Every step has to be done with integrity. Every step has to be done with purpose. No? So, yeah, know yourself first. No? Yeah. Thank you for the question, Mr. Mark. Okay. I think si Sir Marlon has a question next.
Yes. Sir Marlon?
Yes, Gomer. I'm actually raising my hand. And my question is to Aloy. I saw the stalls that you presented in your slide, as well as what was presented by earlier. I think yours is more composed. I mean, as far as product packaging is concerned, did you contracted an institution or somebody like the DTI arm or something like that to assist you in developing the packaging such that that kind of packaging of the community copy of BAI can also benefit from?
Actually, Sir Marlon, we are just lucky to have a network of social entrepreneur founders. So kanya-kanyang effort po yan din.
Oh yeah, really? Yes, that's good. Kasi I received one from Isaiah and the packaging was really good. The Chaalaya.
Sa amin galing yun.
Yeah, I know. That was
with the bayong po, no? Yeah, so
we gave away to our
Christmas
board.
package.
Sir Marlon, package. That's also been something we cultivated for years already. We really, as I mentioned, we really specialize also in making what we call our holiday hampers or parang ganun.
Hindi ko naman minamaliit yung kay BAI. The packaging of community copy in BAI's network were also good.
We used to carry we also used to carry Bote Central before.
Okay. Sige, just for the interest of time, Ma'am Emmy, maybe we would like to ask our participants to indulge us more. Maybe we can extend for another 10 minutes just to maximize the time here in the open forum as well as yung other parts of the program which will come next. Kung okay lang po sa inyo, but still we are opening up the floor for other questions.
Yeah, we have one here in the Zoom chat, Sir Gomer, from Juhaniza, if I got the name right.
Yes.
Yeah, from Juhaniza Didato, there's a comment here. I have interest in doing entrepreneurship. However, I don't know where to start. I have lots of ideas on small-scale business, even doing local products, but I really don't know how to start the action. Ayan. Sir Gomer.
So maybe the question, Aloy, Vi, and Ma'am Lisa is where do we start? How do you start? No? If you have all of these ideas, paano ba magsimula?
What do you do? What would add? Ako, when I started coffee, I wasn't even a coffee drinker.
What?
Sorry, I started. No, I wasn't not even a cup. So the first food, sabi, and I made a friend taste it. Sabi niya, naku, lasang sapatos daw. Just ask yourself what you want to do, where you would be happy. Because if you can't be happy in what you're doing, you won't push through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're posting the contact details of Aloy and Vi and of course Isaiah, Miss Lisa, so that anybody who's here attending and would want to directly give their queries, so they can get in touch with partners.
Yeah, we actually do social entrepreneurship capacity building programs. So there is a course that we do every year called Social Entrepreneurship 101, which is an introduction to social entrepreneurship. So maybe if you're an NGO, you're an academic instructor, you can actually join that training. But there are actually incubation programs for social enterprises that if you're a budding or you're an aspiring social entrepreneur that you're wanting to become a social entrepreneur and you don't have yet an idea, you can join those incubation programs. So maybe for more information on that, you can get more. We can share with you information on the incubation programs, but maybe for UPLB, I encourage the College of Human Ecology to start an incubation program for social entrepreneurs.
Yes. Yeah. We have
Lisa.
Oh, yes,
sorry,
Sir Marlon. Go ahead, Sir Marlon.
Yeah, may follow-up lang ako kay Lisa. Lisa, you presented a lot of data, and I think those data that you presented were already presented before, especially those that yung naging impact of the COVID-19 to social enterprises. Did you publish that one?
Yes,
And if ever,
we have a
can you
social
provide?
yeah, we
Can
have
you
a social
provide copies?
we have a social enterprise action research that we conducted in 2020. It's actually available online, no? And maybe one of our staff can actually put the link in the chat
The
box.
link, yes, please. The link, yes.
Yes, it's in our.
That will be helpful. That will be helpful.
It's in our website, Marlon.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
and yeah.
Okay. We have another hand. Gomer, we have Cristel from the students. Go ahead, Cristel.
Hi, hello po. Good afternoon po to everyone and our speakers. My question is directed po to Ms. Lisa Dacanay. So as students po of the UPLB and in the context of the pandemic, what can we do po kaya to reach the youth residing in rural areas who doesn't have this kind of information? Meron po kayang pwedeng strategies or practices na pwedeng i-adapt ang UPLB from ISEA? I think po kasi in the context of the pandemic, as what you have mentioned, this is essential in not just building back better, but building back fairer. Ayun po. Thank you po.
Yeah. If you're specifically wanting Cristel, no, to get engaged in social enterprises that have to do with rural revitalization, the Rural Revitalization Youth and Social Entrepreneurship Platform is meant for you. So, ang suggestion ko is you actually get in touch with PRRM or ISEA, and we will get you you can partner actually. You can be a partner in that platform, and we can work with you to do internships. We can work with you to do social incubation of social enterprises, but maybe after we raise funds, no? Because we don't have yet the social enterprise innovation fund that we are talking about is actually still to be set up. But we are intending to seed social enterprises that are led by the youth. Yeah. So, but in order to get connected to the youth in the rural areas, maybe organizations like PRRM, organizations like Philippine Coffee Alliance, and organizations like Roots Collective can help you get connected to them. Now, because depending on the nature of the communities you're looking for, I think, PRRM, Roots Collective, or Bote Central, Philippine Coffee Alliance can help you get those connections. And maybe if you're wanting to get connected to many more social enterprises, join the Poverty Reduction through Social Entrepreneurship Coalition.
All right po. Thank you po, Ma'am Lisa. And I think two of my batchmates were fortunate to be interns, so we're excited for them to share their experiences with us.
Oh yes, and the reason for this forum is because it was organized by our two interns. Maybe we should recognize them, Gomer, no?
Yes,
Thank
dapat
you po.
i-recognize natin siya sa end, ma'am.
Okay.
Pero yes. Okay, I think we're ready for the next part of our program, Ma'am Emmy, no?
Yes, Sir Gomer. So I'm sure there are a lot of ideas going on in the minds of our participants, but this is not the first and last that we're going to engage with one another. So if you have questions and queries, and would want to partner, ISEA is there, Bote Central is there, Roots Collective is there, and of course we have the Academe, the Department of Social Development Services under the College of Human Ecology, here with us and here with you. So don't hesitate to contact us. Okay, so before we do our closing remarks, let us first award our certificates just to have our appreciation out for our speakers. So let me read this. Certificate of appreciation for our three speakers. It's going to be the same. Let me read what's written there. So this certificate of appreciation is awarded to Vi Reyes for serving as a resource person on the STE Talks Exploring Social Enterprises in Rural Development, Success Stories, Challenges, and Advocacy Platforms organized by the Department of Social Development Services, College of Human Ecology, UP Los Baños, and the Institute for Social Entrepreneurship in Asia, held on the 3rd of June 2022 via Zoom. So this is signed by our department chair, Dr. Dino Ejes, as well as the Dean of the College of Human Ecology, Dr. Ricardo Sandalo. So you will receive this, Ms. Vi. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time. The same is also true for Sir Aloy. This certificate of appreciation is awarded to Alistair Roy Chua. Thank you for your time, Sir Aloy. It's not going to be the first time that we will be together. And of course, to Ms. Lisa Dakanay. Thank you so much, ma'am. This certificate of appreciation is awarded to you. Okay, signed by the chair and the dean of the College of Human Ecology. Thank you po, and we hope for more continued, sustained, fruitful engagement with ISEA and the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Ayan po. So, yung mga email niyo kung gusto niyo na we get in touch with you, lagay niyo lang po and we'll take note of them. I turn this over to you now, Sir Gomer, for our closing remark.
Yes, ma'am. Before we go to the closing remarks, may I just remind students who would like to receive also a certificate of attendance. You may fill up the Google form cum attendance sheet that we will share in the chat, so that you will receive your certificates as well. So for this afternoon, and to close our session, may I now call on Dean Ricardo Sandalo of the College of Human Ecology of the University of the Philippines in Los Baños. Dean, over to you. Okay po, sir. Yes.
Naka-on ba ako?
Yes, sir. We can see you and we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Kababalik lang ng connection. So, nakaka-excite itong kawala-wala ng aking connection. But anyway, magandang hapon sa ating lahat, and thank you very much for all the organizations who are here, and I would like to personally thank the ISEA for hosting our interns to be with you, and for doing this webinar. No, in fact, the College of Human Ecology's vision has been in line, with the social entrepreneurship. Let me just share our vision that the College of Human Ecology would like to help in developing ecologically stable, self-reliant, and human-centered communities. So basically, that's our mantra for that augurs well with the social entrepreneurship. And I would like to encourage our DSDS, and in fact the whole of the College of Human Ecology, to be active in this endeavor about social entrepreneurship. In fact, we are also supporting. We are hoping to help SDG 11, which is also about having safe, resilient, sustainable, and especially inclusive development, inclusive communities or human settlements. So I think we are this, as mentioned by Ma'am Emmy. This will not be the first and the last of the engagement, and please register the College of Human Ecology to be part of that advocacy. You were mentioning about that bill, and anything that you would like to do, please don't hesitate to call on us to be part of to participate in this endeavor, because we would like also to be we would like to be active in this endeavor, because we are recognizing that we need also, it should be part of the paradigm of the students of the UPLB, not just the College of Human Ecology, but the whole of UPLB. We are being always told, we are always telling them to serve the people. So this is the way to serve the people, no? through social entrepreneurship and with honor and with excellence. Yan lang po. Siguro maraming salamat at good luck sa ating lahat, and hopefully, as mentioned, this will not be the first and the last. I'm looking forward for the many partnership that we can do to promote social entrepreneurship. Maraming salamat at magandang hapon.
Wow. Ricky, yan, meron na talaga tayong partnership. Oo, stay in partnership, and we'd like to acknowledge, of course, Nina and Iara, who has been with Isaiah for the last 2 months, no? And they're coming back to the department soon to finish everything else, no, that they need to finish to graduate. Ayan po sila. Thank you so much.
Sasablay na yan, ha?
Oo, sasablay na sila, sir. Oo, ayan. Sir Gomer, meron ba tayong photo ops before we finally end this with our UP naming mahal?
Yes. Again, we have sustained yung 55 participants in the session. May we call again everybody to open your cameras so that we can have another photo session, as we are congratulating si Nina at saka si Ayara for working very hard on this learning session that we had this afternoon, and congratulations to a job well done.
Okay, we have 3 pages again, so please keep on smiling. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Next page. Please turn on your videos. Habol po tayo. 1, 2, 3. Next page. 1, 2, 3. Great.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really a blessed afternoon. Thank you, Sir Gomer. It was really nice to partner with you in hosting this webinar. Thank you to Isaiah. Thank you to the Department of Social Development Services. Sir Dino, thank you so much for this. And of course, our Dean. Okay. So,
maraming salamat as well, Ma'am Emmy. And then, as we end all activities in the university, let's have the UP naming mahal now.
So that's it for this afternoon. Thank you, everyone. And thank you again, Sir Gomer. It was an honor to host this afternoon's e-talk with you. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po. Thanks everyone. See you soon sa next na STE Talks ng
Yes, sir.
DSTS.
Salamat, Sir Gomer. Thank you, Doc Lisa. Thank you po.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.